So Toy Fair was over the weekend, and that got me thinking. There's quite a few Marvel characters I would like to see get made into Marvel Legends figures. So I made a list of my top 12 picks. Yeah, I couldn't narrow it down to 10. Most of the characters on my list have never received a Legends figure, or even an action figure of any kind. Number 12, Porcupine, specifically the Roger Gawking version introduced in 2006. I like to complete couples, so when Roger started dating Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, I decided I needed a figure of him. They are cute together, and on your shelf he can either hang out with a new modern costume Spider-Woman, or on your Thunderbolts team. Number 11, Taskmaster. Now I know what you're thinking, but Zubbie, didn't we just get a second Taskmaster? Well, yeah, but I'm greedy and I want another. Plus, the futuristic Taskmaster from Avengers World has quite an interesting look, with his tattered cape and robotic-looking mask. Number 10, Quake, or Daisy Johnson. She's an Inhuman with seismic abilities, and she first appeared back in 2004. She can fit in with your S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, or your Inhumans team, assuming Hasbro actually makes a few more Inhumans. Number 9. We can't have Quake without her dear old dad, Mr. Hyde. Hyde is the oldest character on my list, and he first appeared back in 1963, so he's way overdue for a figure. Besides, think of all the fun you can have with Daisy and Hyde together, even if it's just sitting down for a family dinner. Be a dear and pass the pudding, or I'll pound you to a pulp. Yeah, they have a bit of a complicated relationship. Number 8, Titania. She first appeared in comics in 1984. Now, as I mentioned before, I like to complete couples, and Titania is Absorbing Man's wife. But don't let that fool you. She's certainly capable of holding her own in a fight. Number 7, Guillotine. She's the newest character on my list. She first showed up in 2015 in the Contest of Champions game, and a comic of the same name. She has a bloodthirsty sword, and I really like her costume design. Female knight-looking figure? Yes, please. Number 6 is the Hood. The Hood was introduced back in 2002. He's a fairly interesting character on his own, but underneath that red cloak, he sometimes wears just pretty ordinary clothes like jeans and a jacket. Now, think about this. Hasbro can make the Hood, and then throw in a couple of generic male heads in the packaging too. Then you'd have the option of taking off the Hood's head and the red cape, and put on one of those other heads, and you'd instantly have a casually dressed thug that you could army build. Number 5 is Arcade. Arcade was first introduced back in 1978, but I don't think a toy of him has ever been made. Arcade would look good on a white, suited body, but the most exciting part about him is think of all the custom Murder World dioramas people could make with him, with all kinds of traps and pitfalls. Number 4 is the modern version of Karnak. Karnak is another oldie, first introduced in 1965. At first, I didn't even want a figure of Karnak, but I've been finding him really amusing in how he's been depicted in comics lately. I have a few examples here on the screen, but for more, I'm just going to call them Karnakiisms. You can check out the Marvel comic snippets, number 1, on my website, zubbiecreations.com. Plus, if we get a figure of Karnak, you could sit him on your shelf and he could stare back at you. It'd be just like you're in the Marvel Universe. Or you're on a road trip with him. Number 3 on my list is the most likely to be made, and that's an updated Gambit. I'm sure you all know who Gambit is, but he first appeared back in 1990. I'm sure he'll come wearing some kind of trench coat, but let's hope he has the version of the arms with the double-jointed elbows, not the Netflix Punisher arms. Number 2, modern version of Howard the Duck. Howard was introduced in 1973, and he could use an updated figure. Besides, he deserves one, because apparently he's an Avenger in the future. But then again, who isn't an Avenger these days? Finally, number 1 on my list is Squirrel Girl. Seriously, Hasbro, where's my Squirrel Girl? Squirrel Girl first appeared in comics back in 1991, and ever since then, she's been eating nuts and kicking butts. Now, if anyone from Hasbro ever watches this, you do not need to include a Build-A-Figure piece with Squirrel Girl. Instead, every square inch of packaging should be filled with squirrels. Then when you open the box, even more squirrels fall out. So many squirrels. It'd be glorious. So that's my list. Am I expecting to see any of these soon? No. Well, wait, maybe Gambit. But for the others, probably not. But I would love to hear your picks too, so let me know down in the comments below. I just know I'm going to read those and be like, oh yeah, I forgot them, and I want a figure of them too. I'll catch you all later, and thanks for watching.